Hey guys, welcome back to part two of Prolific People with me, Tom Bolan and Ian Bates. Very happy to have you here again for part two. Hope you got a lot of value out of the first part. If you didn't see that, I'll put a link in the description below. And welcome again, Ian. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Good to be here.
So, Ian, in the first part, we just spoke about how you quit your job and now you work for yourself. But I want to really get into the depths of the paradigm shift and the mindset shift of why you did that. And a lot of issues and conversations that we're going to speak about on this channel are because of around mindset shifts. So, do you want to give us a bit of a background story of actually how that happened?
I wish I could say it was one thing. Honestly, because I think we all probably wish we could say it was just one thing and this is what you got to do and you're gonna have a completely different view of life. But I think there was a series of things. I throughout the pandemic and things like that, I dived deep into. I was reading a lot. I was doing a lot of audio books, a lot of reading. I think I did about 60 books in the year, and it's like it wasn't just that. It was that, coupled with like insane kind of reflection upon yourself. I mean, essentially, you can read all the books in the world, but unless you can read yourself, you're not going to get anything from them. And it was calling myself out on the bullshit. So it's ways that I had acted throughout my career to try and impress a boss that I didn't necessarily believe in. It was kind of calling out that shit. So it's like, why did I do that? Why did I act that way? Why did I put that person down? And I was working in a place with a very fixed mindset of like, oh, they could never do that because X, Y, Z. And there was no room for growth. And it's when I was growing so much that reading all these books, it was just this almost slap round the face one day of like, why do you think this person that's telling you what to do knows more than you? And then it's like when you start questioning that, you start questioning every decision. You start kind of trying to live more, I guess, in line with your values. And it's like I was just noticing so many times my values were just being stepped over for someone that had no values. And it was just that it just wasn't enough. And it was, I mean, you end up waking up every day looking for an excuse not to go into the office. And I mean, I had always promised myself if that ever happened that I would walk away just because life's too short to go through that every day. But I think everyone in the same, if you have a feeling within yourself that you're in the wrong place, you've got a duty to yourself to follow it somehow. And I had no idea. I had no plans when I quit my job. It was just, I knew I was in the wrong place. And I trusted that if I made myself available, certain things would stack up in front of me, or I would see something, and I mean, I started posting on Instagram from day one in the hope that some employer out there would see me and be like, we want this guy. And it just never happened. But the interesting thing that did happen is clients that I had previously helped throughout my career saw me, started messaging, talking about how much they always appreciated what I did for them. And it was, you started to kind of see, well, I was the value that those companies were providing. And it's the only people that didn't recognize it was them. But then it's like when you start seeing your own value, it's just like, well, why would I give it away to somebody else?
It's funny that you say you were posting on Instagram hoping another employee would see it. The funny thing is, a lot of people will leave the job and say that they're unhappy, and then they will go find another job. It's not that old job that they were unhappy about. They were just unhappy about working for someone else in that environment in general, and they need to go and expand their mind and just go do something different rather than going from job to job.
Yeah, and I guess this is the thing, isn't it? You kind of maybe assign something to salary or something like that. I'm not happy because they're paying me, let's say, £60,000 a year, and they're paying him 65. So you go somewhere where you get 70, and it's even worse. And I think money's good for the good it would do. And I guess the money has certainly helped me to get to where I am and get to the mindset I am, in the sense that I think in that final year, if I had stayed and hit my target, I would have made £150,000 that year. And it's weird to earn that money and not be happy. right? And
People watching this thinking you're going to make 150 grand and you walked away from that. You're crazy, but it's not all about making that 150.
no, and it's do you know what, like, Brad, and me, the happiest year of my employed life was probably the pandemic. Yeah, all honesty. And it's weird to say that, but it was because the increased time at home with kids, with wife. I mean, I really enjoyed it. And then it's like when it all ends and everyone's like, right, back into the offices. I was like, why? We've just had an amazing year. Like, why can't? And it's everyone's so eager to go back to the status quo every time. This is the way that it's always been done. That doesn't make it right.
Yeah.
And essentially, you're only right till you're wrong anyway. You can't be right forever. I mean, Blockbuster Video was right. People wanted videos. They were just wrong about the content, like the type of, well, the way they wanted to get them.
Yeah.
So you can't be right forever. And I think once you start kind of understanding that, you stop passing judgment on everything. So I mean, I talk about calling myself out on my own shit. I used to sit at a desk watching people post property videos on Instagram saying, why are they doing that? People don't go on Instagram to look for property. They're idiots. But that was nothing to do with them. It was to do with me, right? It was the environment that I was in. And that was what I really struggled with. It was just being in this constant negative environment where we're putting people down. And that, well, I mean, for the best part, that's most estate agencies.
Yeah. Well, I think it's most workplaces, most social environments. I think that's what one of the main people have a conversation about is negativity and putting other people down. You should be in an environment about pushing forward and creating ideas and
fostering growth. But you'll be amazed when you kind of listen to some just unexpected people that have no experience, right? So this is the thing I always found. You would take someone with no experience, give them a job, they'd come in. They would usually have these insane ideas because they've been through different career paths to you, right? So they see things very differently to you do. And I mean, I remember when I first talked about becoming an estate agent, and all that was flooding through my head was, I'm going to get to meet new people every day. I'm going to get to see some amazing properties.
Oh, yeah.
And it's this thought, this is going to be an amazing job. This is going to be an amazing job. And then the reality is you're sat down at a desk and told, you've got to call these 100 people today. And you're like, oh, hang on, I've got to do what? You've got to sit here. And I mean, the first job I had, I mean, the company wasn't particularly popular. So it's like every phone call you made, it's like, I'm calling from X company. And then the barrage down the phone of like, how dare you call me? I didn't ask you to call me. Like, who do you think? And it was like, oh my God. So you imagine making 100 of those phone calls every day. Is it a positive job? Hell no. But it doesn't have to be that way. And it's something we talk about in the office a lot is the use of things like Gumtree. So I used to get paid, I think, about £600 every 6 months to sign up to a professional Gumtree account so that we could advertise all of our properties on Gumtree, just so we could say that there was another place that we advertised. I mean, the man hours that went into that, to creating an ad, to keeping it up to the top, keeping it bumping it up to the top of the listings. Yet the results back from it was crazy. There was just nothing. We maybe received one inquiry, and that inquiry was a scammer somewhere in Nigeria. Yet the first year I left, I started posting on Instagram, and I generated 19 apartments in my first year through just being on camera and talking.
Great.
So I generated more in actually less time with Instagram, but I guess from an employer's point of view, the hard part is it's not measurable. It's the difference of push marketing and pull marketing, right? So you advertise on Gumtree, you keep on bumping stuff up, you can see the inquiry come in, and you know, like the result, there's a process. We do this, like, for example, I make 10 phone calls, I'm going to get one flat to rent. Whereas the pull marketing, there's not really enough metrics because you're putting all this stuff out on social media, but it's like, there's nothing to say, well, this video got you something, or this video got you something. You can see how many people viewed it, yeah, but ultimately when somebody lands in your message box and says, oh, I want to work with you, it's unlikely it's because of one video. It's probably because they've watched 10 and they've agreed with all of them.
Well, that's the great thing about social media and the power of it. If you've got all these different platforms, YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, etc., these people are going to see you over these several platforms. And that's the power of it, because then they get this rapport with you. You've not even met them, and they've already built this rapport, and they feel like they know you and trust you. So that is the power of social media.
I actually love that. So that's a big thing for me as well. So the amount of times that I'm at a development, stood in the concierge, waiting for someone to turn up for a viewing, and someone walks in and be like, "Oh, and it's just like, oh, hi," and I love the fact that people approach you and talk to you like they know you. That just makes everything easy as well. It's like, especially when you've gone from a new negotiator that you're standing outside an apartment waiting for someone. Is this the person that's coming? Is this the person that's coming?
Yeah. It's always an awkward moment.
Yeah, but for me, before I've even left to go and do the viewing, I've usually sent them a video of the apartment on my social media.
Right.
So all I'm doing is standing there, and they're like, "Hi, Ian," and it's like, "Oh, hi." They're doing all the work for me, and all I've got to do is just be consistent and keep on posting on this thing.
Yeah. Well, Ian, let's leave it at that. We could go on for hours.
Yeah, normally do.
I'm sure the average YouTube viewer just want to consume in smaller amounts. So let's leave it at that. I'm sure. I think it'd be a good idea to maybe pick this up again in 6 months or so and see how you're getting on, see how your business is getting on.
That sounds good.
Cool, man. So thanks for joining us, Ian. Is there a way people can get in touch with you? Should we leave a link in the description?
For now, best place is either on the website, loveyourhomeonline.com, or via my Instagram at Not an Estate Agent. Just that.
There we go. Great stuff. I love the t-shirt.
Again, conversation starter.
Oh, definitely. Thanks very much, Ian, for today. And thank you at home for joining us. Hope you got a lot of value out of that. Please leave some comments below. Tell us what you got out of it. If there's anyone else that you want to see on this channel. Appreciate you for being here and for being a subscriber. And we'll see you again on the next one.